It's a little after 5 o'clock. I'll call our regular agenda setting meeting of the council on Thursday, May 1st to order. And this is a portion we don't take any actions on, so we don't take a roll call vote. And let's see, we proceed then to our agenda setting business agenda. Okay. And I think what we've been doing over the last, just kind of first, unless the staff has a different priority, just kind of maybe going through some of the items that we're going to be considering in the main meeting. Is that a?
Yeah, after the librarians update first.
Yeah,
Yep.
All right. And Josh, you don't have a big presentation, or?
There's stuff I want to talk about on the 5 o'clock, but
You know,
Wait
like
till
10
the end.
minutes, or more? Yeah.
I'll follow your lead.
Okay.
All right. And you don't have a big report tonight either. Okay. Let's turn the stage over to our librarian for the library.
Because mine is huge. No.
Yeah.
No, April was a busy month for the library, but we made it through it. We hope to be back to full staff by the end of the month as Rebecca returns from her medical leave. We have a presenter coming next week. His name is Charlie McGuire. He's a folk singer, and he'll be joining us for songs and stories of commercial sailing on the Great Lakes. Charlie will present his Going to Bartolina program on Tuesday, May 6th at 2 o'clock p.m. in the library, and this is funded by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. The 40th anniversary of the library expansion is this month. The expansion was completed in 1985, so we will be having a week-long celebration to commemorate this during the week of May 27th through 31st. So we'll have activities, and you can view the history and construction of the addition, because we actually found some old photos and stuff. So we will be closed May 24th through the 26th for graduation and Memorial Day, and on the 28th for staff training. And all of us at the library want to extend our deepest condolences to all affected by the passing of Dan Godey. We will miss seeing him around and feel his absence.
Questions, council? No? As always, good activities, so going on. Let's quickly, any city attorney updates except on
Just what's on the
specific?
agenda tonight,
Yeah,
Mayor.
okay, sounds good. Let's see, we'll get to Josh. I'd really like to just kind of preview going through some of these things. The repeal of the ordinance on elections, that's pretty straightforward, right, Luke?
Yep. We could. Well, do you want me to go item by item through there, Mr. Mayor? I sure can do
Well, yeah, trying to attend to the ones that might be vexing you.
that. Okay. The old business, real quick update: cable franchise fee from Zito. We do have an agreement from MediaCom. Zito would like to talk about PEG fees being in excess of 5%. State statutes allow for 5%. We're asking for an additional percent for a PEG fee for capital costs. MediaCom did agree to that. I think what we'd like to do is table this tonight and chat a little bit internally with. There's two things there. There's the PEG fee. Do we have capital costs that we can incur? If there's capital costs that we can incur, we can absolutely charge more than that. And our capital costs would be city hall updates. Right? We would have a savings account and we're to put in, and then the capital would be anything that we can do here with microphones and televisions and cameras and things like that. And then the second is drops to City Hall. There's in there where City Hall, Fire Hall would get drops for free as part of the franchise fee agreement. Won't be any cost there. So those are the two things that they're really disputing. MediaCom has agreed to them and they have not. So we want them to read the same. So the question is do we want to remove the PEG fee from MediaCom's and the drops? Do we want to add them to Zito's, keep them all the same? That's kind of where we're at. So I guess with that, we would leave it with you. We can just say, hey, we've got one with MediaCom, we're going to leave it the same. And I would ask that if we do that, that there's maybe Mr. Mayor would join me in a meeting with them. I think you did that last time with me and Norma Jean when she was here.
Yeah.
So we would have a committee to sit down and try and work through that with them. So maybe that would be the option to do. Repealing the ordinance 3102, that's simply getting rid of it entirely. It conflicts with state statutes, and it made sense at first because we had elections every single year. We no longer have elections every single year. We do them on even years. So it would make sense to repeal it and then just follow the state statute where we would have them every even year with our normal elections. I don't know if there's a question on that one at all.
So it's by default. If we don't have anything different, the state statute controls.
Yeah. If Lindsay wants to add anything
Yeah.
on that, but that's essentially what it is. Conveyance of real estate, that's Mr. Carney, if you want to take those
That
conveyances.
was, we had to split the parcels into two parcels at the fire hall and the community center for funding. And so Bolton Mink prepared the certificate of survey, took that and then did two quick claim deeds from the city of Aurora to the city of Aurora. But now we have two parcels, one around the fire hall and the other around the community center, which was driven by the funding that they just wanted to include the community center for whatever that funding was. What was that one, Luke?
So essentially, Representative Lizard got us a $630,000 bonding appropriations. And when the state gives us that, they need to make sure that that 630 just goes to the community center. And because it shared the same parcel with the fire hall, we could not receive the funds until we split them. We own both properties. We're still gonna own both properties. We're just legally splitting them. So now the funds are attributed just to the community center parcel.
So we don't have to do like an amended plat or anything, right?
That's what I know.
The recorder's office is all.
Well, that's, we're gonna submit it and, you know,
Yeah.
hopefully we don't get rejection. They don't like rejection.
Reflecting back on my previous career, it just struck me that we might have been able to do this by a quitclaim deed, no? From,
Well, that's what we're doing, quitclaim deed, resolution with attached quitclaim deed. There should be, I don't know if it got
Yeah.
included with it,
no,
but there is a quitclaim deed that has to be signed by the
Oh.
mayor.
okay. I feel for these, thank you. Okay.
Resolution 2025-28 interfund loan transfer. If you'll recall, we approved design services for the 2026-2027 road construction project to be tagged on to the CASA 100 project. In order to do that, we have to fund that. This resolution simply says that we are going to use general fund, water, and sewer reserves to fund that design. And then we're going to pay it back because it's all reimbursable from WIF grants and PFA loans. We're going to pay it back next year when we receive those under construction at 4%. So we are allowed to do that. It saves us having to take out money from the bank and pay all of those fees associated with it, and we'll make a little money on the side. So just a good way of investing our funds into ourselves. Okay. Bid determination. Josh, you want to take the next three? Those are yours.
Yeah, so bid determination, so we rebid the 3rd, 4th Avenue Alley project. So if you recall, we rejected USA's bid back in April for that project. We did some changing to the project approach. So instead of doing open cut replacement on the sewer, we're now lining the sewer. We still included in the bid spot repairs and stuff like that to make sure we have a good sewer. But instead of replacing it with a new pipe, we're just going to put a pipe inside the old pipe. So we did open bids, and they came in very favorably. Let's see if I can share my screen. So the first round, we received one bid from Utilities Systems of America. This time we received two bids. Again, receiving a bid from Utility Systems of America, and then also Northland Constructors. Northland's Constructors was the apparent low bidder. So how we did this is knowing this was a late season bid, we bid the lining at alternate. So we basically had the option to not award that if we didn't like the price, but we could still do the surface improvements and pipe repairs and things like that. So they had a base bid of $736,499, and then at alternate of $144,500. They were under my estimate by about 40 grand, so like 3 or 4% somewhere in there. And then USA was similar, about 3-4% above our estimate, so we were kind of right in the middle. And I think we got two good bids. Northland, I'm sure you've heard, they got the Hoyt Lakes project, so they're in the area working. When I talked to them, they kind of took advantage and gave us some savings, I think, in our mobilization costs because they're already in the area working. So when I talked to them, it's likely going to be the same crew that's working over there. They have a deadline for the water carnival, and so once they get done with that, they're going to ship that crew over here and knock this out. So I think it's a good bid. It came in very competitive. We kind of got within our budget and got that in alignment. And so it's my recommendation to award it to Northland Constructors.
Josh, you're gonna slip line the pipes. Are any of the manholes along that stretch gonna be replaced?
They are. Good question. So we're not replacing all of them intentionally. So we're replacing the one railroad on the east side of Bradish, the one on 2nd Street, and then there's one just west of 1st Street in the alley. So we're replacing all of those 3. The other 2, between the one on 4th Street and the one on 3rd Street, will be replaced with the 2026 project. So we are replacing the manholes, and then we'll line the pipe in between.
So the 2026 project would be the actual lining or not?
No,
No.
Nope.
Okay.
nope. They're gonna line everything
Yeah.
this year.
This year.
If you guys choose to award this, I think the alternate price for the lining is competitive. It kind of came in
Yeah.
right.
So that all comes in, yeah.
Yep. So
So was any portion of that project gonna carry over to next year? No.
no.
Okay, all right. That answers the question. I was trying to figure out when we start assessing, right? Because our projects will be known and complete by the end of the construction season.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have another public meeting probably in June with those assessment.
And how much less than the first bid?
That was my next thing I was gonna say. We saved over $500,000 by bidding it.
That's good if they're,
Yeah.
this is being recorded. Okay, good work.
And we're televising every sewer service as part of the project. So part of the initial scope will be coordinating with every homeowner to go in, televise their service from the house to the main. We do have a televising ordinance in place. Whenever we have a sale of a home, we go televise it. This is gonna make sure that we catch any problem that exists before we go build our brand new roadway. So, pricing for that came in very, very favorably. It was $300 per home. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
very, very good.
So there
So,
was that one woman at the public hearing I know who was
Yep.
very concerned about that, and that'll
yep,
resolve that question.
That's the idea, so we'll spot fix anything that we find that's in there where it connects to the main. We'll spot fix it, we'll get everything dressed and tight. And then that way, when we come in and line, everything's watertight, it's all good, and then pavement comes on top, and we don't have to worry about any services or.
Right.
Great.
so good bid. I've worked with Northland on many projects. They're a good contractor, so I was very, very happy to see them starting to kind of itch their way north and start working in this area. So, any other questions on that one?
Anybody else? No.
As far, I guess the last thing on that, normally I would bring the resolution for the assessment hearing with the bid, just with the bid opening was on Tuesday, and we're here in council, there just wasn't time to get all of that in order, and so I would anticipate at the second meeting in May, I'll bring that resolution forward, and if adopted, that'll move us into the final public hearing, assessment hearing process. So we can do it now, or we could do it after the project. I like to get it out of the way right away. Tends to, if you do it after, people just bring their complaints and frustrations with the project and not financial concerns associated
You
with
mean
it.
you're not gonna be effusively grateful that the project's done?
Maybe.
I don't know, all
I
right.
haven't seen it work out that way.
Yeah, okay, well, that's just a voice of experience.
So, but overall will be a good project.
So the televising of the services, will that satisfy the city requirement, what is it, 3 years? Before within 3-year period of selling your home, you have to have your sewer televised?
It would
correct?
satisfy it.
Is that, but that'll satisfy, well, there's another perk for
Yeah.
homeowners then.
Sure. Not that we're trying to incentivize
No.
them itself, but, yeah.
The other big news we heard yesterday, so early part of the year in January, we submitted a Safe Routes to School application for the street realignment. We asked for the maximum amount of $1 million, and we were fortunate enough to get that. So
Great.
it's great news. It is a very competitive program. There's only 2 other applicants that got the full $1 million, and it's Minneapolis and
Arden Hills.
Arden Hills. So
Wow.
And Aurora.
so they award based on state aid city, non-state aid city, and all there was 4 or 5 other non-state aid cities that got the award, and they're all 300,000, 200,000. So we aim big, and it worked out. So
So with that funding, will that work then at all be able to proceed with the Third Avenue? reconstruction work?
That's the goal.
Okay.
So just to recap, we asked for $1 million. The estimate I submitted was all in about 1.3 million with engineering. I think that's very conservative. The construction cost was just under 1.1. I had a 20% contingency. My pricing was pretty heavy on here. I was trying to get to that mark because I figured we were at 850, and so just trying to make sure we have enough money to do this.
Do we have any other source of funds other than this that goes into that?
It's a non-match, so it's all there. We will have to pay for engineering.
Correct.
Which
In-
is a couple $100,000.
So the soft costs are not eligible. So like any right of way purchase is not eligible. Any like title work, anything like associated with that. Engineering is not an eligible expense, but construction is. The only thing on this that wouldn't be eligible, and it's not shown here, would be any utility work we do. But any surface improvement, sidewalks, curb and gutters, storm sewer, mobilization, all that is 100% eligible. So
By the time you're done with the soft costs, you're minimum probably 80% grant, probably.
And the school isn't financially involved in this at all, right?
No, they will not be.
Okay. Just checking.
They're excited nonetheless.
Okay, yes, I'm sure they would be.
it does beg the question. I mean, you could levy an assessment against them, but I mean, they did show support when we brought this to them. So I mean, I would ultimately defer to you guys on how you want to proceed. But schools are assessable properties and typically assessed at a higher rate than residential properties. So one thing that's not shown on this figure is. So the ARDC did they call it a safe routes to school plan. So it's all about walkability and student safety and stuff like that. And in their plan, they had a trail connection that followed the north side of 4th Avenue, and that kind of tied into that existing trail. And then it kind of doesn't really snake down to the Mesabi, or at least it's not defined. And so in our proposal, we said we would make that ultimate connection and get that up to a trail standard. The intent was to kind of make the application stand out a step further. And so I think that helped put us over the edge, but it's hard to say, right? And so that'll be part of the project as well.
Now the kids won't have to walk on 4th Avenue with all the
Correct.
traffic to get to that trail, so it's a win for everybody.
Will that change that crossing then, as far as the 3rd Avenue
No.
for the county?
This will be north of that.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's a block, yeah, okay.
And so, I mean, they'll come back to somewhere down here.
Yep.
I would try not to touch any of this just because it was just done in 2015, I think. Maybe you do like a mill and overlay for that section just so everything looks contiguous, but from a technical level, there's no reason to touch it, as far as I know now.
We will have to do some work with Bradish Lumber in there, land swap, purchase lands and things like that. We'll have to figure that out. Railroad Avenue is gonna have to be addressed because that'll be shut down in some way, shape, or form.
Then there'll be that existing triangle too, that's the diagonal to the left or to the west of it along. That land will be, I assume that, well, it's parking.
It's public right. It becomes public right away if you guys wanted to create a parcel out of it. I mean, that's a discussion we can have.
Yeah.
You could vacate it to the surrounding property owner potentially.
We could offer it to Bradish if they needed extra storage, since we're taking some of their storage away.
Yeah.
That would be,
Gives us some options.
Yep. These are state funds. When we submitted the application, for some reason I had it in my head that it was a federal funds. Safe Routes to School used to be a federal funded project, and then 2 years ago they changed it. And I must have missed the memo, but these are state funds, and so we don't need to do an environmental document. The
You
timing.
don't have to worry about what's going on in Washington. The
Yes.
money's, there
Yes,
for the
exactly.
state. Good.
Where I was going with that to round out your question is yes, we want to put it in the 2026 project.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we're actively trying to get in touch with the county and start that coordination process.
So we could ideally, we'd be using the same contractors.
That is
That would be a
the
cost
same
saving.
contract.
Contract. Yeah.
So just another iron in the fire. The critical path is the right of way, and so the county's contract needs to get signed by MnDOT, the district state aid engineer, to make sure it meets all the state requirements. To do that, you have to have all the right of way in hand, which Bradish was a willing partner when we submitted the application, but we'll have to work through that over the next 6 months to get that land swap in place, and everything has to be certified.
So that old shed that's the corner, northwest corner of
Yeah.
the intersection,
I'll be gone.
that's gonna disappear. Yeah, I remember there was some, do you remember that, Mike? There was some ownership issues of who owned that. Do you remember that?
Mike Patchen was working on that.
Oh, maybe that was
Can't
it, yeah.
remember.
That might be a right-of-way issue, the flag.
The
Those
school
are
owns
the,
it now.
Who owns it?
Definitely?
Yeah.
Oh, phew. That's good.
They know that it's coming down, and they're working with maintenance to figure that out.
Good. Yep.
so, but we do need title in hand or easement before we will get a signature from NDOT to bid anything, so that is immediately the hottest priority on our plate is to get that moving.
Yeah.
What else did I have? The other piece I wanted to touch on is we are starting the platting process for the industrial park. And I wanted to gauge council's input on how to divide that out. So we want to plat the public right of way for the street. We'll plat a parcel for the building. But then there's a couple of different ways we can do the rest of it. We can plat everything else as an outlot and come back and replat it. We can plat them out as lots, just big lots, and subdivide them. And there's a number of different ways to do this.
Seems to me the outlook would give us the maximum flexibility
100%.
going forward.
Yep.
Instead of having to, because we might still have to adjust property lines.
And you can do that. I mean, if we did different lots, we could sell lot A or lot 1, and then the first 50 feet to the on the north side of lot 2, and it gets messy though, right? And so, I mean, that's the question. If you're just committed to just replatting as needed, then it's
Any input on that,
I
Mike?
think the flexibility works, it comes to the cost of replatting,
that's the trigger. Is there's just a cost to go through the platting process.
but it's cleaner if you know what business wants to go there and what's the footprint or whatever they need, then you tailor it exactly to that business.
Yep.
So,
Now, are the utilities, sewer and water gonna be in the roadway?
Yes.
Okay, how would you run stubs in every X number of feet, or if you're gonna have it as an outlot, to avoid, if somebody wants
Yep.
100 feet of this outlot, you don't wanna have to cut the road and.
Good question. We did plan for stub outs with the utility construction. I think it's like every 600 feet or something we're stubbing out.
So
So
it'd be big enough that you could branch off and go
Yes.
to 2 lots.
very likely there will be stub outs that are never ever used because someone comes in and takes up more than we anticipated. Great problem to have. Yep.
Yeah,
So-
better than digging up the road
Yes.
again.
Yes. So
Let's see.
It's a good question. You guys are knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
getting a lot of business done.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't decided anything though. So, okay, construction services, Canuti, does that need comment or not?
Yeah, I would just add, so that's the construction services amendment for both projects. So it'd be the 3rd Avenue Alley and then the Community Drive utility. So it's just managing the contractor from the day they sign the contract to the day we close it. So it's providing the on-site inspection services, the data collection, the as-built development, update the GIS sites to kind of create out the grading in the project.
A couple things I'll add there is we waited for the Community Drive one, because we wanted to see, we had the 3rd Avenue project, because there's some economy of scale savings, having both projects going on at the same time, one inspector, and we can do both of them. Second thing is the Community Drive inspection services, because it's about 50% sewer for IRRB Industrial Park. You'll see on there, the sewer is broke out and the water is broke out separate, because the construction services will be 50% going to for sewer for the IRRB Industrial Park budget. 50% will come to us for the water.
That's good.
So, yeah, that's good. There's the savings there too.
Then you're gonna bore under.
No.
Yeah, I should touch on that. So we're gonna save probably $200,000. So I've talked to Eric Falstrom, the county engineer of the north area. He is fine open cutting CASA 100, really just because we're coming back the next year to rebuild it. So typically they would make us bore it because otherwise you get a settlement hump. You're digging 15 feet. There's no way around it. But because they know they're coming back, they don't have a strong desire to make us bore that.
And it will have settled out in the course of the year.
Yes,
then,
and we
too.
can just fix whatever settled, and
So
we'll,
that's
we'll
good.
move on. And so, now that we have an executed contract, per about half an hour ago, I can prepare the change order to get to our contractor and get that change order out, so we'll open cut it. There's gonna be some challenges with just diverting traffic and single lane and flagging, and we might have to build out the road temporarily, but still ultimately cheaper than boring a 24-inch casing.
That road is pretty wide there anyhow, so
That's why.
they do half at a time.
We certainly have enough material there if you need some material.
What we need sand is actually what we need. So the county's gonna make us put sand back in the utility trench. So
And there isn't a lot of sand on the industrial park side, or not?
No, you gotta go about half a mile west and you find all the sand you need.
Yeah, okay.
So now that we have that, I talked through with Eric as far as doing that. Everything seemed okay in his mind. So now we'll get the permit updated. And as far as schedule, they're not planning to start that project till after the 4th of July.
In 2026?
No, this
Oh,
summer.
you mean the utility one this
Yep.
year? Yeah,
So
okay.
they'll start at Erie, and they're just gonna work their way upstream. Same thing with the alley. They're gonna start the televising probably late May, but they're not gonna start any open cut work till after the water
I have one question about the industrial park.
Mm-hmm.
Going north on the west side, you know, where all the trees are, did you ever consider just cutting those down? They look scraggly, and I said, wouldn't it be better for security?
To have it open.
Yes.
They- They wanted to leave it for a noise buffer and for snow buffer, for like snow fencing and whatnot, because when you get that big wide open area, snow go across. They will have cameras on the building and they'll have lights. It'll be lit up and whatnot. But you're right, security is an issue. You know, you got to worry about that. So, but
So we got 2 minutes left. What should we?
I'll just talk about the arbitrage services quick because that'll take a minute. Arbitrage consulting services were handled by Baker Tilly in the past. What that is essentially when you take out levies and you receive funds, you have to spend them in X amount of time. You're not allowed to just sit on like a government subsidy and profit on it, because we can get low interest loans. Let's say a PFA loan is 2%, and we could take that PFA loan and then reinvest that. We're not allowed to do that. So they come in and they do these arbitrage consulting services per state statute. We're going to use Ellers now for that, since they're our financial manager, and actually since they do our financial management plan, it's actually cheaper to have them do it. So it's not a added cost, it's a saved
There
cost.
isn't a conflict of interest of, investing it on one hand and then
No.
assessing whether it's appropriate or not?
No.
Okay.
No, they have to follow state statutes and state laws, and they get
Yeah.
in trouble if they don't too. So, so yeah, we'll just be recommending switching that. So.
Okay, I think we're at 5:30, so, I think we traditionally have adjourned this
Yes,
session.
yep.
Yes, and, our regular adjournment mover is not present with us today. Any of you other counselors want to move for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Counselor Hess, supported by Counselor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned for a minute or two. So,
Thank you all.
Huh?
That has 17, 5, 6, and 7 in there too.
I always try to picture these meetings if we didn't have a half hour discussion. It really does help to not be focused on a decision, but just to get the information in and everything. Everything okay with the camera crew? All right, so. Oh, okay. You'd wave a distress signal if anything goes wrong, right? Okay, good. Lindsay left, should we proceed? Or?
Yeah, you can proceed. I'll take the notes to start. So.
Okay, it's 5:32 on Thursday, May 1st. We're convening the regular
meeting of the Aurora City Council at the City Hall. And with that, I'll call the meeting to order. And can we have a roll call, please?
Hanson,
Here.
Hess,
Here.
Gregor.
Here. And just just for the audience to clarify, since our last first of the month meeting, we've lost due to death our Councillor Dan Godey, wonderful member of our team, the community. It was unexpected, and we were cheering for him. He was had back surgery, and we were hoping he'd get back more robust than ever. But certainly miss his presence here today, and hopefully we'll carry on in good form from this point on. So, could we rise then for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Turning now to our prepared agenda, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. This is the portion of the agenda in which certain matters that are relatively routine nature are improved in block, subject to counselors indicating that they might want some of those items considered separately. Two things. One, maybe I'm missing my most recent. Do we have the figures of the receipts and disbursements?
Yeah.
I didn't print out the most recent version. That those are in there?
They are.
They are. Okay. And any other items that either of you would like to have moved from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Hanson, supported by Councillor Hess. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is adopted.
One thing out of the consent agenda, I'd like to bring to all of your attention is there is a Rams vacancy. That is Councillor Godey's seat. It is filled by appointment. So if any of you are interested in that, there is a window to apply for that, and that is Aurora's seat on the Rams board. So his term ended at the end of December, so it would be an appointment until December, and then after that, there would be an election next year for that. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and maybe you already have received the email already, but it has to be an elected official from Aurora.
Okay, and the meetings of those are quarterly or?
They're monthly, I believe.
Monthly, okay. Just out of curiosity, either of you interested in doing that? I could. I don't have a lot of board or commission responsibilities.
Not really at this time.
Not really eager. Okay, then
I'll stand tall.
I'll probably serve them for the remainder of that period.
Well, you'd have to submit, and then they will elect from.
Yeah, oh, that's true, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Although it's
Yeah.
fairly good that we get in, so. All right, moving then to the items after the consent agenda. Do we have any appearances? Mr. Segler, do you have any items to particularly bring to our attention?
Oh, just a couple. Got a house on 101 4th Avenue North. Okay, what's going on? I asked the last time, have you heard anything else about it?
St. Louis County, I would direct you to your county commissioner, as they own that. The city of Aurora has reached out to demolish that house. We've asked to do that.
Yes.
They would not relinquish ownership of the house. The county owns the house. So we would have to do that at our expense without.
In line with that, though, I would love if we as counselors and city administrator take a picture in front of that place and send it to the county commissioners and say to them, this is unacceptable, what can you do about it?
I
'Cause
just took a picture of it this morning, and I was gonna email, Paul McDonald.
That's
Yeah.
that's where you go with it.
yeah,
Yep.
he did indicate when I talked to him recently that there was some kind of a watershed event on July 1st, when it may become more available. I don't know. You haven't heard anything.
We would love to take that down with our blight program, but
Yeah.
the county owns it yet.
Yeah.
They have
All right.
not given us a path to get that yet. So.
Yeah. So you had another item, Mr.
Oh,
Zeigler?
yeah, just about that, recycling. You guys never thought anymore about helping the citizens out and moving that from the landfill. You have, I know it's hard to find a place, but, especially for the older people, it's, I know a couple, you know, in their eighties, and that's not easy for them.
No.
To go to the landfill. You know, I wish we could find a place that'd be secure enough so you wouldn't get all that garbage dumping, you know. I'm just bringing it up again, that's all.
Well, we'll appoint you to a committee on that issue because it is a concern. It's a
It
real
is.
one, and
Yeah.
it is an inconvenience generally, but security is a factor, that's for sure. So,
That's it.
all right, thank you very much. No one else is online, right? No. All right, moving on then we've had our reports from staff members. I think everybody's commented during our previous agenda setting meeting, right? Luke, you didn't really get a chance
I'll just take care of items on the agenda.
on the agenda. Okay, good. All right, moving then on to the reports from counselors. Let's see, Counselor Hanson.
Just two quick things. Again, I'll remind residents that the Downtown Beautification Committee meets the second Tuesday of the month, and it'll meet this May 13th at 9 a.m. in this room. We welcome any input. If you want to find out what's being talked about, come on up. And also, if you've driven by the community building and see what it looks like right now, and would like to see what it's going to look like, there's an artist rendering, a nice one too, in the library. So stop in and take a look. You can see what it's going to end up looking like. That's it.
Good, thank you. Counselor Hess.
Just a couple items, East Range Public Safety Board, with the retirement of Chief Suler. We held a meeting on Monday and we appointed and signed a contract with Jordan Closestead as our new chief. So, we're still looking for one more officer, get us back to force. Other than that, I just wanna thank you to Bolton and Mink for the work they did on that safe grant for your school, at the school for that safe.
Yeah, that's good work. Yes.
Appreciate it.
All right, the mayor's report, let's see, just first of all, on the volunteer recognition dinner, just to echo again the sentiments of the council and city and everybody for the gratitude for the tremendous contribution that volunteers make and enable our city to be as vibrant as it is and get all the things accomplished that it has. And I celebrate Aurora provided the food and attendance was reasonable, right? But certainly can't encompass all of those that we want to celebrate their volunteer work on. Let's see. I just today attended a tour of the Alaskan Energy Facility, which I don't know, some people have, but it's an amazingly impressive facility, and we went through a history of it, which incidentally involved its roots in the Aurora electricity and steam plant that was documented in some of the materials that I provided to Luke there. So that's something else going on. The water project proceeding well, the water intake site on the north side of the Embarrass Pit Mine Lake is fully in place. It's been waterproofed at the base, and the next stage would be to boring out the intake piping that goes out into the lake quite a ways down. I think it's about 60 feet below surface level. And the ground or the subterranean and ground level work on the water treatment plant next to the Public Works facility and the water tower, that's beginning to have the slabs put in place. on that. And it's there. Interestingly, there was a water modeling study that was done that was reported to at our last water board meeting, which had to do with trying to envision the pressures and the availability of water in the event of various disaster scenarios. And it looked actually pretty encouraging. There are a few tweaks here and there at some of the valves, but that's vitally important for all of us. You know, if a forest fire, for instance, got started in that area, we're not too far down the road from there. So let's see. I think that covers the water board and the industrial park. And just for the public's benefit, we did hold our Board of Equalization and Adjustment hearings. So we had about, 5 citizens, I think, who had concerns about their property valuations at an adjourned session of that board meeting. One of the properties out of 5, I believe, was adjusted. Your recollections too? Yeah. So appreciate the citizens that brought those matters to the attention and the county staff that did such a great job of rechecking their numbers and data. So that's the mayor's report.
Mayor, may I have a thought? I have a question about the water report. It was in Wasabi today,
Okay.
okay? How's the salt base? Is it still pretty good yet in St. James?
They're the same as they've been. They haven't gone any higher.
Okay.
So, yep.
And then one other question about the steel plant. You know, because I remember when it was, you know, there that, and when they tore down that stack, I think they left the base in the ground.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
all this cement in there.
We've got an environmental study that's going to be conducted
okay.
that's going to identify exactly where and to what extent those things are in there. So with all these comments, you know, you might consider applying for the vacancy that we're
We're gonna get to you.
Just a suggestion. All right. So finishing with those reports, moving on then to agenda item 16 is old business, the resolution pertaining to the franchise for Zito. City Administrator, we talked about this briefly in our agenda planning, but any
Yep. So
recommendations?
I guess my recommendation, after thinking about it a little bit here, is we don't have to really do anything, as we've already approved what we sent to them. We've actually signed it and sent it off to them. I would just ask that you appoint Mayor Gregor or a representative to meet with myself with them, because they are gonna want a meeting out of that. And then if anything comes out of those meetings, we can bring that back up to the council at a later date.
Okay, if I meet with them?
Yeah.
All right, do we need
Would you
anything
like
more
that?
I'd like to
formal?
do it by motion, just so it's
Okay,
coming
yeah.
council direction.
We need a motion to approve this resolution. I'll move we approve.
No,
it.
we're just approving
Oh, okay.
Approving my appointment
Yep.
to mediate.
Doug to meet
French. Yep.
Discussion.
with
So
Zito.
moved by Councilor Hanson and supported by Councilor Hess. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so hopefully we'll make some headway with that issue. Moving to agenda item 17,
We
new
could back
business.
up, Mayor, and table that then, just so it comes back.
It has been approved. I just put it on there because that's what was on the agenda. It's been approved, signed, sent to them, certified mail. Then they came back and said they had problems.
Yeah, so we're,
We'll put it on.
That was the meeting you missed, so, yeah.
so we're moving faster than you could imagine, yes.
That's
light
too
speed
easy.
these days.
So, yeah, I think it's a very good negotiating position though, since we've already enacted the ordinance and it would have to be some kind of a change there, so. Again, moving on to section 17 of the agenda, new business. First item is agenda item 17.1, a proposed resolution 2025-25 to repeal ordinance 31.02, which is in the ordinance book at the moment and has to do with filling vacancies on the city council, city administrator for the public record.
Special elections, isn't it?
What?
Yes.
Special elections?
Yeah, special.
Yep, covers the special elections. It states that we would appoint someone until the election is held annually. We do not have annual elections anymore. We have them every 2 years. So we will be looking to repeal this and just fall back to the state statute.
And, yeah, the state statute addresses the issue in great detail, right?
Yes.
All right, so is there a motion to accept the proposed resolution to repeal ordinance 31.02?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-25.
I'll support it.
All right, it's moved and supported. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is adopted. Turning to agenda item 17.2, proposed resolution 2025-26, which has to do with the conveyance of real estate, and I think 26 and 27 are related, right?
They are.
Just for the record again, city administrator, if you could just clarify the intent of those proposed resolutions.
Yep, this is intended to split the fire hall parcel from the community center parcel. And the reason being is that we receive state funds to perform updated work through the community center. And per Minnesota statute, we have to have just the community center on a parcel, so those funds will be encumbered and spent all on just that building. So we will be splitting, we essentially be doing quick claim deed from ourselves to ourselves.
I think just to interject, I think we put a warranty deed in there, so we'll do
Okay.
a warranty deed.
We warranty deed then, is what we'll do from ourselves to ourselves, to split the parcels out. We've already approved the resolution to do that, now we just need to submit it to the county.
All right, so the resolution we're approving will essentially set in motion the warranty deed that we would then execute.
Authorizes the director to execute a warranty deed by
Yeah.
the mayor and the administrator below the legal description.
All right, is there a motion to adopt the proposed resolution 2025-26?
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Hanson, supported by Counselor Hess. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving to the related resolution 2025-27, which relates to the same real estate, the ownership readjustment. Is there a motion to approve that proposed resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-27.
Moved by Counselor Hess and supported by Counselor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have taken care of those housekeeping matters. Moving on to agenda item 17.4 is proposed resolution 2025-28, which has to do with a financing matter that sometimes is vexing, but it's basically we're borrowing from ourselves, right?
We're borrowing from ourselves.
Finance on an interim basis, some costs associated with the street improvement project, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. First Avenue.
Yep, it's all of the street projects that will be taking place with the CASA 100 that just pertain to the city of Aurora streets.
Okay. So we're borrowing from ourselves, but we have a strong assurance that we're going to be able to repay that indebtedness from funds that become available once the project's actually going. Is that right?
Yes, we'll be taking funds from our reserves, which are being invested currently. And the statute states that we have to adopt the treasury rate or something close to the treasury rate, because it needs to be paid back at what we're making. So the treasury rate currently is 3.92. So we just rounded up to 4% for nice easy math, and we'll be paying ourselves back in June of next year at 4%.
So I think a motion would be I'll move adoption of the proposed resolution 2025-28 on the interfund loan transfers. There's support.
I'll support it.
Supported by Counselor Hanson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's approved. Moving on to agenda item 17.5 is the bid determination for 3rd and 4th Avenue Alley Reconstruction Project. We discussed this again in our agenda setting, but I think for the public benefit that might be watching, it's interesting to note how a little good engineering and advertising has resulted in a considerable savings on that. Would the city engineer want to explain just a little background on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. So this is a rebid of our 4th Avenue Alley project. Originally bids were received in February. Came in higher than anticipated. We rejected the bid, modified the scope a little bit to see if we can value engineer some savings. We rebid the project in April. Bids did come in more favorable. We eliminated almost $500,000 in project cost, and while still achieving the same goal. And so we received 2 bids, one from Northland Constructors and a second bid from Utility Systems of America. The low bidder was Northland Constructors. They were approximately 3.5% under the engineer's estimate. It's my recommendation. They're a good contractor and qualified to do the work. So if deemed financially feasible, I'd recommend the council award the base bid and add alternate 1 to Northland Constructors.
Okay, is there a motion to
I'll make a
accept the,
motion.
including the alternate one?
Yes.
Including the alternate one, supported by Counselor Hanson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have our contractor for that. Let's see, 17.6 agenda item is the acceptance of construction services for the 3rd and 4th Avenue, excuse me, alleyway reconstruction project. And that's separate from the next item. Yes. The city engineer want to explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. This is the proposal of services to do the construction administration and contract management for the Community Drive utility project that was awarded by council back in April, I believe. And then the one that was just awarded here tonight. And so combining those into one, some efficiency savings, I think we're gonna have, be able to cover it with a less staff than if they were individual projects. And so that's why we brought them together tonight. But this is taking the project from today awarding it through contract close. So
All right. Motion to accept the proposal for the construction consulting services.
These are 2 items. Are we
I think
combining those 2?
So are you talking on the cost schedule?
On the agenda.
No, I mean.
on the agenda, yeah, we
on
got
the agenda.
17.6 is 3rd and 4th Avenue alley.
Since they're separate projects, we had them broke out as separate proposals. Yep.
Okay.
So just take one at a time if you would.
All right, let's do 17.6. It has to do with the 3rd and 4th Avenue alley reconstruction project, construction services.
I move to approve it.
Moved by Counselor Hanson, supported by Counselor Hess. All right, any further discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. All right, and then, as Counselor Hanson has pointed out, we have a separate item there, the acceptance of construction services for the Canute Drive project, both of these being performed by our city engineering firm, but
Move we approve it.
moved by Counselor Hanson to approve that, and supported by Counselor Hess. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have our construction services lined up. All right, moving on to agenda item 17.8 is an arbitrage consulting services, another financial matter that our city administrator will probably adeptly explain to the audience.
Yep, so arbitrage consulting services, those are required by statute. Again, anytime we're borrowing funds, we need to show that we're not borrowing with intent to reinvest and make profit off that. That would be illegal. So you take out design services for the wastewater treatment facility, you encumber that and spend it within X amount of time, and then you have someone come in and make sure that you're following to the letter of the law. Baker Tilly used to do that. We no longer do a lot of work with Baker Tilly. We do most of it with Ellers. So we'll now be switching to Ellers and actually be saving a few dollars on doing it. So it's not a new cost, it's an existing cost which will be done.
So there's no indication that we've in any way violated any arbitration rules or anything. This is just to confirm their compliance, right?
Yep, we're required to have these services to make sure that we're compliant.
Good, all right. Is there a motion to approve contracting for those services with AWO?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Counselor Hess and supported by Counselor Hanson. Any further questions that arose from that? And City Attorney, you
Just,
don't?
usually you always have the mayor and the administrator sign. They just have one signature line, but there should be both of you guys signing.
Okay, so we'll assume that's included in the motion then, authorization
to sign. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion on the table, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Moving to agenda item 17.9 is a subdivision rezoning request related to a parcel identified there by number, and I think the recommendation of the city administrator is that we table this. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we met today with the owner, and we explained the difference between, replatting and zoning and doing all of these things, and what the city would need out of this when it comes to infrastructure. A road coming into it, a turnaround, fire hydrants, and things like that. So they're gonna take this back and discuss amongst their business ownership, and then we'll push this to the next council meeting and see if we can have some more answers for you guys on it. Now, I guess I can leave Richard some table space there to see if he'd like to add anything on it, or Josh or Lindsay. We were all there.
Anything
But-
to add, Counselor Hess?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Is there a motion then to table?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Counselor Hess to table, supported by Counselor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are tabling that, and hopefully we'll get some resolution of that matter. Agenda item 17.10 concerns two different parcels about tax and special assessment collection. I'm actually looking forward to some discussion on this. We didn't get a chance to address it at the agenda item. And I'm wondering, these assessments that are involved here, are those, are they reimbursing, the assessments to pay off essentially a property owner's obligations for improvements that improve the value of their property?
So in 2015, this is in Holland edition. In 2015, we paved the road. Okay. And that went on the assessment roll. These parcels went on the assessment roll. They then went to the county as defaulted and went up for auction, and were now recently purchased. Why the assessments are not included with the auction sale on the land price, I do not know. I have reached out to the county to find out why that is. But essentially what happens now is, after it's purchased and sold, it doesn't come to us on a title search. We don't have the ability to put that in there. We're losing out on the assessment funds. So now we're basically told we have to give it up. We have to write them off. And I don't like being put in that spot where you've got to write it off and not have an option. So I'm trying to find out why that is, why they're not in there, or if there's a way for them to put us in their search or something. If there's a way to get it on. I don't know. These are not the answer. But right now they're asking us to write off the assessments for those two parcels that have been sold.
Yeah.
Lindsay, do you want to add anything on that?
No, when I worked with the accounting clerk, Barron's, she had said there's really, only two options. We write it off fully, or we write off what's past due. When we last actually took any sort of motion on this, it was Mike Carney's recommendation for us to just follow past practice. So we kept it until the sale, and now here we are back in the same boat again. So it's just kind of bringing it forward to the table once again. So just kicking the bucket.
It just doesn't sit well with me in the sense that I assume the assessments were for the benefit of the parcels, which they have to be,
Yep.
and that they improve the value of the property so that someday, hopefully this is gonna be, it hasn't been privately sold.
Oh, it has been.
It
Oh, it
was
has?
privately sold,
Yes.
yes.
And that didn't come up
It was
at time
sold
of
at auction.
sale, that there was a,
No.
Didn't go to tax forfeiture?
It did go to tax forfeiture.
See, when it goes tax forfeiture, then, the county gets their money and they don't care about us, I guess. And,
Well, usually when they're up for bid, it tells if there's assessments against them.
yeah, it's,
I believe it tells them to check to see if there's assessments against them. And
Which in my mind
Yes.
implies that the assessment somehow survived the tax forfeiture process.
One
Is that
would
possible?
yeah, it gets to be, then they'll have the new owner coming, even though, and I haven't looked at the tax forfeiture, if it says, check for special assessments, due diligence is you check to see if
I
there's
don't know.
special.
Used to be on there years ago. I don't know if it's still-
Yeah. I know you can check that and talk to the county,
if you wanted to table it until the next meeting, and I could dive into it a little bit deeper and
Yeah,
see if it
let's-
said that on there, and I mean, I've reached out to them, I'll reach out to them some more and find out.
So who sent this to you, the county?
I believe so.
That spreadsheet that you're looking at?
Yeah.
No, that's Kimberly.
She provided it to the council.
Yes.
Oh,
I personally, I would like to move to table it so we get some explanation of how it is that somebody comes into ownership of property and doesn't have to pay their fair share for the benefits that they're gonna continue to enjoy. Yeah,
The county doesn't collect it.
And I don't know now that they would have the title on it, how, can you go back and say, hey, you owe us money for that, like, after they already own it?
Yeah, but the assessments aren't those of record, you know,
Yes.
something, or is it just?
Well, I'm not sure, I mean, if they go away because of tax forfeiture, when it reverts back to the state, that's, handled by the local county.
Well, we have to play the hand that's gonna be dealt to us,
Yeah.
but I'd still make the motion to table it till we get
Yeah.
some more information. Full support,
I support that.
supported by Councilor Hanson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Tabled.
How's this going here?
Good. And I bet they're gonna appreciate that nice street we've got in front of them too. So, 1711 on the council agenda, safety training, request to close City Hall, I assume on May 28th. Is that the
Yep.
request?
Normally we do half a day, this year we're gonna do a full day because we are going to add AED and CPR training in the afternoon, so.
Resuscitation, Annie. Good, okay.
Yes.
So, is there a motion to authorize the closure of City Hall for the entirety on May 28th?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by
I'll second
Councilor
that.
Hanson, supported by Councilor Hess. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that carries. 17.12 is the charitable gambling request to provide scholarship funds for the Miss Aurora competition that's associated with our July 3rd celebration. And I believe this has been done before, right, from the same, it comes out of the gambling proceeds. And is the amount pretty similar to the previous years? I know you're very involved in that, Lindsay.
It's identical to previous years.
Identical to previous years. Okay, is there a motion to approve the use of the gambling funds for that purpose?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess, supported by Councilor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, 17.13 is calling a special joint meeting for joint services. City Administrator, do you want to explain this?
So the town of White has reached out to us. They have received some bad news on their fire hall. The roof collapsed over the winter and it is no longer structurally sound. They have moved a lot of their engines into a shared space with their public works crew and they're hosting meetings for their fire hall at the Loon Lake Community Center. They are interested in combining fire services or would like to at least reach out and see if there's an opportunity to do that with our fire department. At the same time, they would like us to kind of reach out to Hoyt Lakes and Biwabic at the same time and see if they would like to consider doing it as a fire department district. So, just interested in putting this on here for your thoughts, your feedback, and if you'd like us to reach out to all the neighboring communities and possibly offer up our community center for a joint meeting with all the councilors and mayors and administrators in the area.
I'm thinking the East Range Joint Powers Board and North Span could help coordinate that. I mean, that's one of their jobs there with the East Range Joint Powers Board to do cross East Range services. It doesn't mean that we couldn't, I think it's great to come from the city to these other communities myself, but I'm just thinking of technical details and legwork, maybe North Span could earn their keep.
Sure.
Yeah.
So would you like to make a motion to present that to the East Range Joint Powers Board Committee for consideration?
Sure, yeah. Since I'm on that, I have every confidence that the motion would be heard, or the matter would be heard. Is there support for that
I'll
motion?
support that.
Supported by Councilor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I'll try and further cross East Range cooperation here. So, Resolution 2025-29, the sad matter of declaring a council vacancy due to the previously mentioned death of Councilor Dan Godey. And in order to kick into gear the process for replacement of someone on the council for that position, which replacement would run until the end of December of 26. Is that correct, I believe? Yeah. In the resolution essentially starts that process, and first we do the declaration of the vacancy, right, and then we'll be authorizing the advertising for interested people to have their participation considered. Yeah. So we have a prepared resolution 2025-29, and is there a motion to adopt that?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess, supported by Councilor Hanson, and as stated in the resolution, this is with deep regrets that we're having to take these actions and everything else, but his memory will live on. So we have the motion on the table, been supported and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The proposed resolution is adopted. Now, let's see. Don't we need at this point to kind of authorize to the advertising for the availability of a
Yeah.
seat?
We'd like to advertise until May 30th at 12 o'clock for interested applicants for that position. And then Lindsay, do you want to explain the process after we receive those?
Yes, in the past, you've done it mostly as a council, you'll conduct interviews. You have assigned committees in the past too, so there's really not a past practice that we can follow. It's been different per council, but you can decide as a whole, we can call a special meeting, you guys can conduct the interviews yourselves. You can assign a committee consisting of staff and council members, and go that route, but it's completely your discretion how you would like to do that after we receive applicants.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, maybe we could consider that more fully at the next meeting, the process that we wanna go through. We have time, obviously, to, before the deadline on those matters, but, yeah, I think just, at this time, a motion to authorize advertising, right, for the vacancy to, solicit, interested parties until May 30th, right?
Am I telling them that there will be an interview or no? Just review of applications. I feel like we should tell people
I
what
think,
we're gonna do.
I don't know about you, but I think an interview is always helpful. I mean, we probably will know whoever comes in, but just to clarify for the public, this will not be an election. This will be a
An
council
appointment.
appointment
Yep.
of a person to serve for the remainder of the term through December of 26.
Correct.
So, let's see, I'll make a motion to advertise for the availability of the position on the council. Is there support? Support by Councilor Hess. Any further matters in that motion that we need to authorize?
Just, yeah, the 30th at 12 o'clock at City Hall close, make sure that's in there.
Okay, 30th at 12 o'clock noon, I assume.
Yep.
Okay. Not midnight.
Not midnight.
Unless Lindsay wants to work late. Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the table, and any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we have that process started. Now, 17.15 on the agenda is the assignment of temporary board appointments and external and internal committees. Do we have a listing of the
Yeah, so really, Lucas had already mentioned Rams has to be a elected position, so, but Dan held quite a few positions, which are definitely going to be missed here at the city. But it sounds like we're not going to assign a fire department liaison until we do receive applications and review and go from there. I did speak with Councilor Hess already about after he filled the vacancy seat on the Planning and Zoning Commission, perhaps just transitioning to council liaison. So that was something we could take action on today, is adopting that. Otherwise, really, most of these will just have to sit vacant until we receive that.
We have one that we gotta do, and that's, East Range Public Safety Board.
Oh, yeah, but we had that listed as alternate for Bob Hanson, but maybe we
But we
officially
should have
should
a
say.
motion to-
Yes, we
yep,
should.
to put him in there, yes. So Richard and Bob have already indicated they would take those positions on, but the rest, we're, without that
And then,
fifth person.
then Rams, I'll put my name in.
Yes, yep, but you can work with them, from my understanding,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
I
Alright.
think we should put that in a motion.
Yeah, do them separate for each appointment.
I'll make a motion to appoint Bob to the Public Safety Board.
I'll support that. And you're willing to serve?
Yes.
Right. Okay, so, seeing no further discussion on that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so, Bob will serve on that. In the fire department, what was the recommendation again?
We'll wait till we get that fifth person for the fire department. The only other board right now, or commission right now, is the Planning and Zoning Commission. Counselor has been the new council liaison.
All right, so I'll move that Counselor Hess be designated as the liaison to the planning and zoning until a new person is on the council and we can reconsider.
I'll support that.
And supported by Counselor Hanson. And you're already on there, so you just put on a different hat, right?
Yeah.
Two hats, okay, all right.
Two
So
hats.
haberdashery going. All right, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we have those matters then addressed. Ms. Luke?
Yes, we have those until that vacancy is filled. So
Right.
and then we'll come back and review all of this.
The other thing you might want to do is nominate Doug as our appointee or our council's representative to the Rams board. It might make his case stronger that there was a motion at the meeting. He was elected.
We didn't do that?
No, we didn't.
Oh.
We just briefed over it. We talked about it.
Oh, we talked about it, okay.
You'll have to do it individually, but you guys could make a
I'll
motion
make a
saying.
motion to appoint Doug to a Rams Board. So,
Candidacy.
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 I'll
Moved by
support that.
Counselor Hess and supported by Counselor Hanson. And for an interim basis, I'd be glad to serve on that, so. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we have those matters, I believe, addressed. Are there other matters for the council?
I got one here. I got a resolution 2025-30 in my packet. It has to do with
That was
17.5.
That was the one you provided for the assessment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was part of it when we accepted the bid.
I did
We
too.
didn't specifically state, I think we should go back and just specifically state that resolution.
Resolution of receiving bids and approving the award of the contract to Northland Construction of Duluth. That would be for third and fourth alley reconstruct.
So that was moved by you and supported by you, Counselor Hanson. If you guys want to just clarify that in the motion,
Yeah,
that you're adopting that.
Being it's in your minutes, I'll make that resolution.
Okay, so the action that we previously took is being kind of enshrined in this resolution, right?
Yeah.
There should have been two of them there.
All right, so I take it that Counselor Hess is moving adoption of the proposed
Yeah,
resolution 2025-30, and Counselor Hanson supporting
support
it. All right, to accomplish what we talked about earlier, any other matters from an engineering or legal?
I think we should just re-vote, by the motion that you just did.
Yes, okay. All right, so all those in favor of the motion on the table, say aye. All those opposed? So we have resolution 2025-30 approved. Now, any other matters that,
Unlike other matters, city engineer, when you start that detour next year, are you gonna, are we gonna have to go down lane 55?
So the
That
detour,
dirt road?
the detour will be designed by St. Louis County because it's their highway, their project. I would not anticipate them sending traffic down a unpaved road.
What else could they do? I mean, where is, exactly where it's gonna start?
At the 135 intersection, I mean, they'll have to stage it You know, if there's not an appropriate detour, they'll have to build it under traffic. So
I think there's at least one more community meeting
There will
anticipated
be.
to kind of
Yes.
explain those things, so.
That's right. You said about sending it on a dirt road,
yeah,
you know, make so much dust. Just
yeah,
have them blacktop it.
yeah. I mean, as your city liaison, I would fight pretty hard to not do that.
The other thing is you can't force people to go one way or the other, right? So there may be a lot of people who choose to go that way anyways. The county won't maintain it because it's not their designated detour route, but we'll have to work with the township and maybe tell them, hey, can we get some dust control or some, you know, I mean, we'll have
Right,
to,
but that's what I think, what else, you know.
I think they're gonna,
Beginning, where do you go?
If I had to guess, they're gonna push them down Erie and Central.
Yep.
So
And, okay, if you push them down there, so you have like one lane open while they're doing all this. I mean, because how the.
I think you're getting ahead of the train here,
Yeah.
so.
we'll have a public meeting, Butch, after they have the contractor on board and the bids have been opened. So they'll have a public meeting, we'll go through a lot of that stuff.
All right. Any other matters that we've overlooked?
I would like to just remind council members, as well as the public, that we will be closed next week to the public for clerk's training. We'll be in Brooklyn Center for the entire week, so.
All right. Good. Now, normally at this time, we would turn to Counselor Godey for a motion to adjourn, and we certainly miss that action amongst others. So at this time, I'd entertain from one of us survivors a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
All right,
I'll
Counselor
support
Hess makes the motion. Counselor Hanson supports. All right. Well, new responsibilities here. So, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned until our May 20th meeting.